The new studio.
This is the new studio.
This is the new studio.
So hello everyone, this is Grant Sparks and
Nicole Bradham.
And we are
HotSpark.
We've been doing this for a minute and we took a pause last year, at the end of last year to do the new studio and reconvene everything that was going on in the business. So thanks for being back with us. Who do we have with us today?
We have Carter Long, your homegirl, and she is doing so many things like really in Florida. And so I'm really excited to have her on as our first guest of 2025 because super interesting entrepreneur, all the things, and you guys are going to love her by the end of this show. So,
and we're super pumped to have her for the main reason number one, there's like reason number 5 going on here, but reason number 1, she is Carter Long, your homegirl, established Finding Floridians, fantastic Instagram feed for walking through properties, giving you real insight of what these properties are like, super friendly Floridians. I was scrolling through it and like, dang, I was learning stuff the whole time.
People from Lakeland, people from Tampa that we knew. Yeah.
So you're going to want to check that out. We'll post all the links down in the comments below. But the other reason we found out is YourHomePage.ai, right?
Yes.
Yeah, YourHomePage.ai. Super cool app. I want to ask Carter more about that. So you ready to bring her up?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it. Welcome, Carter Long.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. And you had a long week last week. You were telling us earlier, 100-hour week. And the reason I call that out is entrepreneurs need to know what it takes.
There's weeks like that. You're like, what's it? It was a stretch, you know?
Yeah, no one can tell you didn't work hard enough for it. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
You don't ever want someone to be like, well, that didn't work because, you were putting in just 40 hours. And you're like, you're killing me, Smalls. So can you give us some insight just into the entrepreneurial world of Carter Long? Why, in general, you put in 100 hours last week?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So there's a lot going on. As far as any entrepreneur, you always have multiple projects. Like if you just have the one, you're probably just starting out. And then eventually you end up with, if you have that true entrepreneurial spirit, you get all these ideas and all of these things. And then ultimately like, oh, I can do that. You get confidence from the first thing. And then that spills over into the next, into the next, and into the next.
Yep.
And so I am we're kind of in the beginning, but really in the middle of our pre-launch for your homepage. And so there's just a lot of different moving parts that are going into that. On top of, obviously running my business, Finding Floridians.
Yeah. Now, Finding Floridians, you mentioned it as your business.
Yeah.
When you call it your business, as a business model, is this beyond the content creation feed, or is that is that the title of your real estate agent side of your life?
Yeah, so I actually do not practice real estate anymore. I do all referral business.
Okay.
So any leads that come in through Finding Floridians, I do have a realtor or a team of realtors that I partner with.
Very good.
And so Finding Floridians in itself, yes, there's the content piece, there's the referral real estate business. And then your homepage was actually created so that I could essentially capture the leads much better with Finding Floridians. So I saw really the gaps in the market of me being a content creator and in real estate and realizing I was missing out on all of these leads, not to mention the rental side, which Florida is very inequipped for doing just rental leads just in general when it comes to real estate. So that's kind of how your homepage actually was created. And it is a part of Finding Floridians. So the product is technically under the company of Finding Floridians.
Okay.
And with Finding Floridians, you're like doing tours of homes that aren't necessarily on the market. So is that just to share the lifestyle and kind of, we're all super curious and was voyeuristic in a way. So we all kind of want to see how people live. So is it just to kind of keep the engagement and followers growing?
Yeah. So kind of both and. So one is, yes, obviously engagement. People love looking into their neighbors. We also do have listings. So we do listing tours as well, kind of with the same model. Just a lot of people, either A, don't realize it, or B, we just do a really good job at marketing them. That's my job.
Yeah.
And then 2, part of your homepage really, with any realtor, you're going to be posting content that essentially, either goes listing or goes pending or gets closed, and then that content dies. because there's no way that you can essentially market that without having additional properties that you can give them, for example. So with your homepage, it's actually an AI machine that reads that piece of content and then gives you additional homes. So for me, when I do a home that's not available, the AI machine will actually tell the user, but here's other listings that are actually available on the market that you could rent or purchase today.
It's almost like checking out on a retail, like an e-commerce site. And it's like, you may also like these items.
Yeah. I like that you said that, because I was flicking through the demo for your homepage AI. And I was like, wait, the demo, someone was on Instagram, double-clicked Instagram, and then it went to what looks like your homepage.ai. So are they interoperable, or that was just a demonstration of, you're used to doing this, you can now do that over here? What was the demo kind of showing there?
Okay, yeah. So the feed so essentially your homepage would be a cross between a link tree with almost like a Zillow, if you will. Most people think of Zillows as there's listings on there. And so with Linktree, you have, different links, but in our case, you actually would have your profile fed into our feed. And so when someone's going from my profile and they're seeing what my cover photos are, and then they're going to go to your homepage, they're going to see the exact same cover photos. So I just watched this video of this apartment that was, $2,000. I'm going to click that and it's going to tell me here are apartments that are actually available on the market. That one might be available and that might come up, or ones would.
Got it.
That's a really good use. And I assume that it's piping in like the MLS or something like that, or talking to it. That's a brilliant use of that API.
That's really helpful. I'm literally looking for rentals right now, and it's on Zillow, and I'm just having to write down and look for things that are similar. And it was a very clunky process. I'm just writing stuff down.
Renter.
Yeah. I'm writing stuff down in a notebook to go back, and then I have to schedule the tours, and then I have to get in touch with the office. And so I'm like literally dealing with this right now. Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? We just were keyed into this. We also have a social media management arm, and we just brought on our first large-sized real estate agency. They are the only branch of their nationwide branch in Central Florida here, and we're posting their posts, and they gave us a rundown of Zillow on how Zillow sells percentages of leads through Zillow. So if you're an agent and you do a listing, but the home buyer contacts Zillow, if you only pay for 10% of the leads, there's only a 10% chance that lead will come to you, even as the agent. And so I was like, wait, what? And they were talking really harshly against kind of the finance model behind Zillow. So your idea kind of adds a major tool in the toolbox to realtors and brokerages directly to go, hey, one click, circumvent this behemoth who has kind of like a predatory finance model, where if it's your listing, you deserve to get the leads on that listing, especially if you're posting about it. And then we had the same problem you described. As an agent, you might post your pending contract or your just listed, but it's pushed way down your feed. So you're like, wait, do I put more content in my feed, or and therefore push my listings further down? Like, what do I do? That's a really brilliant, I think I get what you're saying now.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, is the Android app available yet?
No, so it's actually not an app. It's more of a platform similar to like Linktree. The reason we didn't want to do an app is because when you go from social media and you have someone get an app, you are going to lose a huge portion of that conversion, right?
Yeah.
So it is literally like Linktree in the same capacity, where you're in Instagram, you're going to stay in Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, whichever.
Yep.
You're going to stay in the app unless you ask to get taken out of it. And then you can get taken out.
Interesting. Did I spell that right? YourHomePage.ai?
Yeah. So your homepage is actually the name. .ai is our website.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
And maybe capitalize the P.
There you go. Yeah. Good. I'm glad you got that. Thank you. I'll fix that now. That's brilliant. So can you tell us the moment you actually ideated this?
Yeah. So I started finding Floridians 2 years ago, and about 6 months in, I blew up on TikTok. That was the first place that I got really big. And I realized that there was a lot of people who would reach out to me. First of all, no one's doing rentals. No one's doing rental content.
Right.
That's a huge market.
Yep.
And so many people would reach out to me and be like, I want that apartment, or I want to live there, or this house, or whatever. This is the lifestyle I'm looking for from that property. And I was like, there has to be a better way to do this. And, AI at that time was just like, kind of more people were really talking about it. And I was like, there just has to be a better way. And I kind of just had some conversations with people in the industry, and through kind of their similar struggles, I was like, there's got to be a way with AI to do this. And so we got started. So I started this whole process back in September of 2023.
Wow.
Had a lot of like ups and downs. The first people I hired didn't get it. They didn't get the vision. And so I ended up hiring someone new who fully got the vision. However, at the time, I think I was thinking really too small. I was thinking just finding Floridians. I wasn't thinking, oh, this is actually a thing that would be like an LTK, or this would be a thing that everyone could use.
Yeah.
And so I went to market last summer with just finding Floridians, just my own website.
Wow.
And it was honestly broken. Like, if it was up to me as the perfectionist, I would have been like, I'm not putting this out there. But when you're in the tech world, you realize you just got to put something out there and see what happens.
Yes.
And so we did. I put it out. We got 1,000 users per month. So people were actually using it. And just with finding Floridians. And so from then, I learned a lot about consumer behavior, and I was basically trying to get people to relearn what they had already learned with social media, and kind of going for that next step for conversion with leads.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm making this too difficult. I'm thinking too narrow. I need to broaden what this platform really could be. And that's how your homepage really came about. Was because I basically was like, I'm in social media, I'm an influencer. How can I take the tools that I use and I love and use that and refine it for real estate? And so, that's how your homepage came about.
Have you always been entrepreneurial like this?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, because like a lot, you haven't, we were researching you a little bit. You had a loan origination background, right?
Yeah. So I started finding Floridians as a loan originator, and then I ended up getting my real estate license.
Now, see, that makes sense, because I'm looking at your content. I'm going, she's out of the box starting out, and the way she's viewing her content, because most agents are petrified to show any property that is not their listing. They're just, they're emphatic. Like the brokerages are like, that detail's not right. And it's like, you're obsessing about literally the wrong thing. You're not telling story. You're not saying anything interesting. You just want to walk through, but there's no fun. We just watched a video of the gentleman who has the dump his ass shirt.
Yeah, the last tour you did, where he was actually selling his house.
Yeah.
And it was such a fun, engaging
It was
thing.
hilarious.
And that's, correct me, that's not a listing of yours. It's a referral you're handing off, maybe, right? If it even comes through.
Be more buyer referrals, but yeah.
Where do you think where did your entrepreneur journey start?
High school. My first thing I ever started was a baking business in high school. And my only client was my aunt and uncle. They had they owned a mortgage business, in blood. And so I would bake for their corporate gatherings and stuff like that. They paid me, which was great of them. And then I went to University of Florida. And I've just always been just started a lot of programs there, just did a lot of starting things. I'm really good starter of things, like a pioneer. Like I love to start to grow and then start something new. So I've always been that way.
Yeah, I think that's what, last year we started the Influencer Academy, DMO Go. We launched 3 or 4 platforms.
Oh yeah.
So when you were saying that about the HotSpark show, I'm like, it was because every other week we had a new idea. And since we're a website development company, we could just make it come to life.
Oh yeah.
and some of it landed flat, and Influencer Academy took off. And so it was like a lot of different things, but like starting things is a specialty of ours.
But there's a massive weakness, I think, to nearly every entrepreneur, and that is like the handoff. The delegation.
I was gonna say, and then finding the team, like you were mentioning, like, do they get the vision, and are they willing to do the hard work? Because I mean, not everybody gets the vision, and then it comes back to you and lands in your lap to do everything. So,
do you have a good team with your homepage?
Yeah, I think so. For now, no, I would say the hardest part of this has really been the employee side of really finding the right people. So as it stands now, finding Floridians, who we have is obviously being social media, we're heavy on the marketing. So we have I with USF, I do a lot of college students. I think they're very valuable when it comes to social media. And then not only that, but I actually get to train them and how I want them to work.
Right. They don't come with their own bag of tricks that may be outdated.
Exactly. It takes a lot more on me, of course, because I'm having to coach and get them. But once they get to that level, like they're great. I have one girl who's been with me now for a year, and she's amazing.
Really?
So I have her, trained her. She started as an intern, and
we keep saying we're going to do that because Southeastern University, 2 private colleges are here. So, I mean, you've been into Lakeland. It's like if you could tap into, and they keep saying there's so many college kids around, especially in marketing. They seem to get excited about social media marketing. So it's easier to find people. It's just, you got to get in and do it, I guess.
Yeah. And they know more.
They do
about social media than we do. Like the generation that we're really trying to reach is Gen Z. I'm not a Gen Z. And so that they understand that younger population. So if social media needs to target the younger generation, why wouldn't I have the younger generation be the one?
Absolutely.
What's funny is we've done a lot of these interviews across the board, but also we have Influencer Academy. We talk to a lot of influencers. Nicole has a specialty with destination management organizations, DMOs, and she's been doing that for years. You are one of the few people who have ever actually said the words, my target is Gen Z. And so that leads me to a question. We, of course, have been pouring over your Instagram. Is that your strongest platform or no?
Instagram and TikTok are pretty tied.
Yeah.
And then your Gen Z employee, I'm looking through your content and it's still your narration. So what have you delegated to your partner, your social media employee there, that she's doing behind the scenes, the stuff we don't see? What is she doing for you? Because I think that's actually where the secret sauce is, right? So what is she doing?
So the only thing that I do when it comes to social media is I oversee strategy. I approve everything. And then I film home tours. The first time I'm ever talking to a home tour is the moment that I knock on their front door. So I'm so hands off with social media. The idea is I am out of it. I don't want to be in it. I want to be able to actually make money for the company, right? I want to be out doing sales. One, that's what I'm good at. I'm good at sales and I'm good at strategy. Those are my 2 strong suits. So how can I create those places for my employees to really step up into the ownership that I need them to take on so that I don't have to take that ownership anymore? So I'm on social media. I focus on social media one day, Mondays. That's it. That's all I do.
That's brilliant. And so she schedules the thing. She finds the interview.
So I have 2 college students.
Okay.
One who is my outreach coordinator. So she also is our copywriter. So she does all copy and all outreach. So outreach meaning like if someone reaches out to us to do a home tour, she's handling that. She also does a bunch of outreach. Like we'll reach out to people to do home tours. And then she's in charge of the whole cycle from finding the person to a tour all the way to after we post it, doing all of that communication. So that's her. And then the other one, she comes up with content ideas. She like our content types, doing the social media schedule every week, coming up with scripts, which is also the other girl. She does all captions, scripting. So so we kind of all collaborate And then
Wow.
I just approve everything. Okay, but the real way that they're able to do a lot of this is because I've actually used ChatGPT and have made it so that it is a clone of myself. It knows how to talk like me. It knows how to feel like me. It knows every little thing. Like, it's so funny. The other day we were like typing in it and I mistyped a word. I said, I like number, and then I didn't put the number. And this one, like, refine these two. And it's like, oh, you like number 2. And it inserted the number without me even saying what the number was.
That's creepy.
Yes.
Is this
and we were like, what?
is this a single chat or a single project within ChatGPT? What's your structure with that?
I have a lot of different projects. So my ChatGPT, my projects are like my finance guy, my scripter,
Your team,
my content strategy, like Finding Floridians admin is one, my HR consultant, my business coach, like all of those are folders.
Did you enter a super prompt in each of those, or did you just have enough longevity in each of them?
So I have created prompts myself that I have realized that really work. So I actually have a guide for real estate agents that they can purchase to basically build their ChatGPT in the same way, specifically on the marketing side. But yes,
business. Did you just list another business?
I know, right?
I love that.
It's a part of your homepage. Your homepage, realistically, we want to show really how AI can actually assist you in real estate and help you, whether that's your marketing content, whether that's converting your leads, like whatever it is specifically, like we want to be really we are that expert when it comes to AI.
Wow. So you have a very comprehensive, grounded entrepreneurial framework. The way you think about, like the way you prioritize your roles versus other people's roles, the way you've delegated it. What do you attribute to your entrepreneurial side? I mean, you had a native entrepreneur side, but like, I guess the personal development, the frameworks, you have a good structure that you're working with. What do you attribute that to?
Gosh.
You have a mentor, like, or do you pay for lessons? Like, what's that background?
I've never once paid. The only thing I've ever paid for was college.
Wow.
My family's very entrepreneurial. Like, I grew up with an entrepreneurial parents. They have multiple things going on at one time. And then in college, I think my experience in college really, I joke, like I went to college and I minored in my major, which is psychology, and I majored in leadership on campus. Because I just did so many things. Like I was a chairman of the Senate. I was on executive board for Panalytic. I can't even tell you how many things I did because I don't even remember half of them. But that really fine-tuned being able to create something, do something, and then you have the responsibility. And so from then, I don't know. I think part of it comes naturally. I do have a mentor that we meet with every once in a while, but yeah, I don't have one person I'm like, oh, I go to them and they tell me what to do. A lot of it's trial and error. I feel like being an entrepreneur, the one thing you have to always be okay with is pivoting. If you're not okay with pivoting, stopping what you're doing in your tracks and then moving directions, that grind will exhaust you so fast.
Yeah. And we've encountered that in the last years. We've been merging companies. There's different moving parts that were like.
And influencer marketing is moving constantly from the software that's available to just how people view content creators. It feels like a moving target. Although the one thing that stays consistent is people who are beginning in their beginner phase of content creation, they have to get over specific hurdles with confidence and things. So that stays the same. But like once you really get deep into it and the business side of it, it's evolving very quickly.
Yeah. And the same with websites. Like I've been doing websites since 2004. We've had the website company since 2013. And since AI, last 2 years, the perception, here's the thing, you can't actually build a real website with SEO with AI. You can't do it. But there's components that improve, but the public perception is that we should be able to do this. And so I have found, just entrepreneur, in the last 9 months, people are pushing back against our website prices because in their mind, they think AI should be able to build a website completely. And we've tested all the platforms. We do our innovation and our research.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, the labor still is what the labor is, but we're having to pivot, to your point,
Yeah.
from a messaging perspective, but also from a services perspective. For example, we're pivoting towards AI and automations as, a fractional AI and automations consultancy right now is like a component that we're launching, just to stay nimble, to your point, man.
Yeah.
So you've pivoted recently with your homepage. You were doing public fundraising, and I was telling her offline, I was just trying to apply and do a little stake in the game right there and do my own funding part. And then you broke my heart because you're like, no, we went all private. And so I was like, wait a minute, this is going to be like how I missed out on the Uber investment story, how I missed out on your homepage. That's what's happening right now.
That's how you pulled your Facebook stocks out. Yeah.
And so can you give us any insight on why you went from public funding to private funding?
Yeah. So I'll start at the beginning. The reason I decided to go public was obviously following. I have a following across all social media platforms. I have over 70,000 followers. So everyone was like, no brainer. Like, your audience has been asking for this. You should do a crowdfunding campaign. However, and I listened, I was like, you're absolutely right. This would be perfect. Like, I don't have to do much. I just have to do some marketing, like, to my audience. Yeah, that was just rainbows and sunshine, and that's not the real world. And so essentially what happened was I didn't really take into consideration who my audience is. Like I said, my audience is Gen Z and young millennials. Are they investing? No. No, they're not.
They may have disposable income, but they're probably not using it for that.
Exactly. They're not thinking that way. And they don't even understand investing. Like, they don't understand what a crowdfunding campaign even means. Like, they don't know that, oh, by giving this amount, I'm actually getting ownership in this company, that when it grows and when it sells, I'm going to get a payout. They don't understand that. And so what it did, a really great thing, was it ultimately got me in front of big investors. And
interesting.
And that was ultimately my goal. And so I did get in front of those big investors, and I did make those relationships, and every big investor was like, I am not giving to a crowdfunding campaign.
Interesting.
If you want to do, off and we create something else, then I would be gladly to give you 100,000, 250,000. Like, that was those larger investors. They just weren't interested.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I had a major issues with the platform I chose. The investors, every investor that invested could not invest. The same problem you're having. Like, the process was so long. Not to mention, you try to fund, and then it takes like 48 hours before you can even fund. And then you have to go back. It's just this whole thing that people were just questioning, and it didn't seem secure to them, which I totally understand.
Yes.
And so between issues with the platform, investors being weary, I was like, I'm done. And so we really only need 250,000 is what we needed to really honestly float us for a couple of years.
Yes.
And so I essentially have just about hit the 250,000.
Nice.
So we're gonna cut it off.
I saw your reel that you were sitting in your car with your mochaccino or whatever it was, and it was like when you realize, the moment you realize that asking for 250 is no more difficult, so to speak, than asking for 25 or 250. And can you tell me about, was there an aha moment? You sound like you come from entrepreneurs, so it doesn't feel like you'd have a big aha, but it sounded like you did have this big aha moment. Was there an aha moment for you?
Like, in terms of asking people for $250 to 25,000?
Yes. Or no, the leap to asking these big investors versus asking the public for low investment, that shift. Was there a mega shift there for you?
I wouldn't say there was a mega shift. I did do an angel round prior to this.
Okay.
And that minimum was 25,000.
Okay.
And so I had always gone into this like hoping that those larger investors is who I would attract. One, not to mention the cap table, like with a bunch of $250 people is just exploded with numbers versus you have 4 investors at, 25,000. It's a lot simpler. So no, I wouldn't say there was like a big pivot. I've pitched this. I've done so many pitches of my company that at this point I will sit down with anyone. I've always been that way. I will pick up the phone and call anyone. I will sit down and have a conversation with anyone who wants to hear me. I also will do the big ask. Like I had a meeting with someone who was asking me for help. And then I was like, all right, but I have a big ask for you. I need $100,000. Who can you like I'm not afraid of just.
Have you always been that way?
I think so. Yeah.
Then what has, then every origin story has some challenge. What has been the challenge you've overcome, if not the fear of the ask?
The fear of the ask.
You've been mentioning and talking about being a woman in tech.
Yeah.
So, and having that experience, did that drive your passion a little bit further? Just kind of seeing the gap there and almost feeling like you may represent women who also want to get into tech and maybe feel like they can't?
Yeah, I think maybe that was a part of it. I didn't realize, okay, I don't come from a tech background, no tech background whatsoever. And so getting into this, I really didn't know that there was lack of women in tech. I mean, it's kind of the feeling of I should have known, but I didn't know until I started really doing a lot more in the tech industry and going to events. I'm like, wow, I'm like one of 3 women founders here, or not even founders, like they just work there. And then I think another part was I've actually had it's been a real challenge to find women founders who also want to help women founders.
Okay.
I've heard this. Yeah.
Either A, they want me to pay them a bunch of money just to meet with them for 15 minutes. And I'm like, no.
Right.
I don't have the money to pay you. That's why I'm asking you. Like,
right.
Chicken or the egg here. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, or just like lack of response. Like people would introduce and then they just don't respond.
Interesting.
And so I think one, I've always been very like, if anyone reaches out to me, I'm going to answer them. Like I've always been like, you guys asked me to come on the show. I'm like, absolutely, let's do it. Like I'm very open to a lot of things. I also have really like strict boundaries at the same time, besides last week, 100 hours. But typically I do have specific times on my calendar where I like to keep it open to people who, like you have questions about what I'm doing or have questions about if I were in your position, like what should I do? Because I think it's really valuable to have people build you up in wherever you're at. And I think I really ultimately, when this is successfull, would love to be that for other women founders. And by creating that voice now, it is setting up like for that future.
You'll have to start a community to get people to, I mean, we just like starting communities in general.
It's a problem.
But
we just like starting communities.
We have a community coffee that literally meets once a month. It's like always just, we're inviting everybody we can because we know how alone people can feel in business roles and any role. But I mean, it does kind of sound like there's a need for women who are open and willing and may be able to, dedicate a little bit of time to sharing and kind of lifting others in the space so that they're not met with the same kind of wall that you were in some cases. So maybe down the road.
Like there are organizations out there. However, I've found that a lot of them, like I've gone to either one, you have to have a membership. And the only way to get a membership is if you're a part of a large company that has a membership. So me being a founder, I can't be a part of that. And then there's this other one that's meant for the founders, but I've found that it's actually, there's no founders. Like you will meet no founders when you go.
That's right.
You'll meet the people who are trying to meet the founders to get
That's right.
jobs.
Oh, got it.
So there, I haven't found a specific one that has been created really for the founder specifically.
Which all leads back to you.
Yeah, and it's a little bit like exclusive to
Yeah.
that actual founder.
Yeah.
You know, we made our rounds through a lot of the Tampa networking groups, the Lakeland, where we're at, the networking groups, and we found the same thing, and it's largely disappointing. And, you know, Layla Hormozy and Alex Hormozy, they talk frequently about this moat, this gap of when we're in kind of this phase, and then there's this huge alone time, because you reach out and go, you know what, I'm humble enough to say I need some help. Let me go out and see what's going on. You meet people in this joker business. They're like, they say they're hustling and they haven't really done anything that's relatable, and then you end up helping them, but like you're like, wait, no, I just want peers. Like I'm not even looking for like access to big dogs. I just want peers to run with. And so if you hear of anything, let us know, because whether it's Influencer Academy that we were starting up as a community, or DMO Go was like this little app that we were putting together, there's always those things, but we hit these lids and we just want to cross-pollinate with someone who's really solving problems. And it sounds like you've done very, very well for this. What's some advice you have for that founder who she's starting up? She's got a brilliant idea. She's transitioning out of the same old thing with a killer idea. What's your top 2 or 3 principles you've got that you would drop on her?
I would say the first one would be to strongly believe in yourself. I joke about this all the time. Like you have to be delusional in the beginning. Like you have to live in this delulu place, as the Gen Z will say. Like if you're not thinking that this is going to sell for millions and millions, or like that's not your ultimate goal, then who else will? Right. So you living in that delusional state in a healthy way. But it's like it's the current trend on social media about delusion, like delulu. So that would be my number one. And I constantly have to even remind myself about that. Like when you're down, like reminding, no, I'm stepping into my delusion at this moment.
Yes.
And then the other thing I would say is it goes back to really what you said, is it can be very lonely in this place of leadership. And to not put expectations on your circle that they're going to know what you're going through, because they're not. But relying on them in ways that they can show up for you and communicating what you need. So telling my friend, hey, my kitchen is a mess and I need help. I just need you to show up. I need you to come here, keep me accountable, and just spend time with me while I do this. That's something that my friend.
That's so basic and true.
It's
and your friends will run at the chance to do that too. That's what we forget. We think we have to meet for drinks or brunch. It's like, it really doesn't need to be fancy. A lot of times you just want that quality time.
Right. Yeah. I just had a friend come over the other day and made me pickled onions, because I was like, I want some pickled onions and I have no time to do anything. Can you?
Yeah.
He came and did it, but it comes to I could never, come to her and be like, I need you to understand where I'm going, because she never could. She's not in the same position.
Yeah.
But she's able to show up in the ways that I need her to show up. And then that helps with your expectations and you not getting upset that they don't understand what you're talking about. And then they respond with the cliche answer. And then that so it's like, don't put them in those positions, because they are going to respond to the cliche answer because they don't know how to relate.
Yeah. That's funny. I've been nurturing several of my core principles as, like, personally, I come from the background of being a performance coach, a speaking and communication coach, and ultimately a goal coach, performance coach. And obviously that's basically, I say it's a business coach. And one of the principles I've been cultivating lately is parallel to that, and is really confirming for you to say that. And that is I think the ultimate defining factor of an entrepreneur is their capacity to handle a strange and awkward amount of stress that other people can't get their head around. And sometimes the comment about the cliches is so true, because You want to strangle their neck because like, can't you hear how cliche you're being right now? And it's like, but that's literally the capacity that they're operating on. It's not a dig. It's just the life they live. And I say it's a strange amount of stress because it's strangely shaped quite often. It's such a refined nuance of, I suddenly have a bill worth $15,000 that I didn't think, and that could tap my payroll, but then money moves just so, and then suddenly it's fine. And you're like, and it was my only job was to remain calm for that entire period of time. And it's strangely shaped because it was actually this big of a problem, but to the average person, it feels this big. And it's just like, at any given moment, that shape could shift. And it's just like, it's ridiculous. And so like, it's almost like a house of mirrors, a fun house of mirrors in a carnival studio sometimes. Like, I don't even know what's going on, but to remain cool and calm and just walk right on through and go, I guess we're going to do this. It's so intuitive for you to say like normal things, like have them come over to the house and like, I know for a fact, and Nicole knows this about me, a major victim of my entrepreneurship is my laundry. And it's like, you know what I'm talking about?
Major victim.
It just sits there.
I mean, okay, I worked 100 hours last week. What else did I have time for other than sleep? Like, so now I'm like, I think I need to like, my dad is wonderful and he actually comes over and helps me. And so I'm like, he lives in Orlando. I'm like, so dad, can you drive over? Help me?
Another 100-hour week. Come help.
Well, this has been enriching for me.
Yeah,
how can people follow you? Is the best YourHomePage.ai or the socials? Where do you want people checking in on the thing biggest on your radar?
Yeah, I mean, Finding Floridians will also be cross-posting with YourHomePage.ai. So even if Finding Floridians is the one thing that comes up, you'll be able to find your homepage. We also will be marketing on Finding Floridians. The platform will go live with Finding Floridians in a couple months, and then that's when we actually will start our pre-sale for people to be able to be the first with the platform. We're going Florida first, and then we will be going.
That's smart. That's big. I love that. Finding Floridians. And yes, and I'll earmark this moment in history, the moment that I missed out on a pre-market investment. I'm literally crying inside about that.
Man.
But I'm happy for you. I think you're killing it. It has been truly like refreshing to meet another founder out there doing crazy good. And if there's any way we can support you at all with our email list or our network, let us know. We're here for that. I really appreciate you being on.
Thanks for responding and, like you said, being open to be on a random show.
Stick around for a real quick minute. We're going to wrap up and be right back with you, Carter. What did you learn? What's your biggest takeaway? She's powerful.
I know. I love it. I'm just like glad I followed my hunch because I'm like, I wonder if she's even going to message us back. That's never stopped me before. Like literally we've had the VP of marketing for the country of Colombia. So like whenever I feel like, oh, I don't know, I think back to all the people who have said yes. So yeah, I know she's a powerhouse. I'm excited to see what she does in the next couple of years. And I like that we get to be kind of at the beginning-ish of watching it. And so I love that.
Watching. Listen, check in hopefully next week for another episode of the HotSpark Show. Do not hesitate. Follow Finding Floridians. Follow YourHomePage.ai because you're seeing she's been at it 1.5 years, 2 years already. But so we can't call it the beginning of her journey, but it's going to be coming out soon and you don't want to miss this, I believe, meteoric rise. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here for the HotSpark Show.